Hello, today we're going to be taking cuttings of plants, which is called asexual propagation. And right now I'm going to show you how I do that. Okay, so here's my plants I'm going to be working with today. And I'm going to just be using a pair of good scissors. Now, these are my wife's old sewing shears. I think these are called Gingers. And they're very good high quality scissors. I really like them. My wife got new ones for her sewing projects. So I'm going to take this here, and we're going to, and this is a rosemary plant, but I'm going to cut off about 2 inches. So somewhere like that. I'm not measuring, so that's about what I'm taking off to plant. So I'm going to cut these. I'm going to get about 10 of them, and then we will, or however many I can get off of this plant. So so we'll cut that one there, this one here. And when you cut these off, I'm actually just cutting them the same way we'd cut them if we were going to eat the rosemary. So we have these nice shoots here that are just really beautiful, and this is what you'd take in and chop up and eat if we were going to eat them. But I'm going to plant these so that I can get more plants. This particular plant seems to have a lot of upright growth. It's really tall. Yeah, you can see in here, it's been cut right here in the past. I bought this at Cook's Nursery in northern Utah. And but it's been cut here, and then you can see how these two branches came out really vigorously from where it was cut earlier. And that's what will happen when you cut the tips off, it gets bushier. So we're going to just let this one go now and get bushier. So at this point, we have all these little stems. Looks like I have 15 of those there. So we can take those and we could plant these in a pot. We could put them in a plug tray. We could put them in a bigger pot. It doesn't really matter where we put them. We just want to put them somewhere so that they can grow. One thing I have done in the past is I just put all of these in one small pot, and then once they start sprouting roots, I take them apart and then plant them. But it's convenient to put them in a plug tray. That works good too. And sometimes some bottom heat underneath the plug tray will help them to grow really well. I like to use a rooting hormone. I bought this one online. This is just called Hormex. It's a rooting powder. And I've used different brands over the years. And I don't care what brand you use. All the ones I've used work. And sometimes they sprout just fine without a rooting powder. So you don't even always have to use a rooting powder. But I just dip them in like that so they're covered with the powder. And then we just stick them down in. And when I put this down in, I'm going to put it in about pretty deep. It's going to go in about 1 inch deep. And then we will water it really good. Okay, see how long? Oh, it's not long. It's 2 pieces. Never mind. I was gonna say, see how long that is? You would want to cut it in half. I didn't think I cut one that long, but I guess I was right because it wasn't that long. Rosemary is a hard plant to grow from cuttings. Sometimes I've only had 10% of them grow, so out of 100 cuttings, only had 10 sprout. So that's pretty tough. That's hard. That's discouraging. So if I want to have 10 plants, I'll do 100 cuttings. I did plant rosemary seed this year, and some of them are coming up. But I'm just trying to, we'll just see what we can do here. I don't have a specific number that I want right now, but I know I need more than what I have. Now this can be done without the rooting hormone. If the apocalypse comes and you can't buy rooting hormone, you can still do this. You just want to keep it moist on top. Never let these leaves dry out. Keep them misted. Okay, rosemary's done. Let's find another plant to cut the leaves off of. Well, they are not being propagated from seed, obviously. They are just growing new roots from the stems. So we're just dipping these in, and this is a basil leaf right here. I normally don't propagate annuals, but this is a wonderful little cultivar, and I'd like more than one plant from this one. I'm just snipping out some of the bigger leaves. Just gonna prick those out. And I can keep these leaves in a pile, take them in the house, and then we put the rooting hormone on the end and we stick those in the ground. So what I have here are the rosemary, and then we have some stevia because I like sugar, and then we have a tricolored sage, and then we have oregano. And we've got these all in here. They're looking really good. I just want to find a couple more stems of the basil to put in here. So we'll just snip those out. Take off some of the bigger leaves off of that basil there. And we just poke them down in there. Prick that out. And we're going to take those big leaves off. We're going to save those for the kitchen. And this one is big enough to have 2 cuttings. So we're going to take that, and just the very tip there touches the rooting hormone. And then this one, tip in the hormone, and there we go. And we press them down firmly into the soil. See if we can find some more nice stems here. So that one is making a couple. I have rooted basil before. I think I have a memory of rooting basil in the past, but I could be wrong. Maybe I never have. I've done so much gardening that I am confused. So this will be fun to see if it sprouts roots. It may not. So these really thick spots on this plant, I'm just going in and I'm cutting it out. Now just a leaf probably isn't going to sprout roots real good on plants like this, but the stems are more likely to sprout roots. And that just broke that stem, so I'm gonna make a little hole in the dirt, loosen that dirt so it goes in a little bit easier. Take those bigger leaves off like that. And there we go. So I think that's all I'm going to do with this. And now I'm going to get this really wet. And then I'll put this in a tray of water so it sucks water up from the bottom. And then I'm going to mist this a lot because there's no roots. And so these plants can dehydrate really fast and dry out, and then they're dead. So we will want to get the soil completely wet by sucking up from the bottom, and then we want to mist this on top so they can't dehydrate, and then we want to put plastic over it so it stays hydrated. So we need to do that now, and we need to do it quickly. This stevia is already beginning to wilt right here. So we have to move quick. Okay, here you have it. And so we're basically done. We will keep this in the darkness. If these are in the sunlight, they tend to dehydrate quickly because the stoma open in the leaf to let carbon dioxide in so that they can photosynthesize. We don't want them to do that, so if we keep them in the dark, they will be much happier. So we don't want the water to be able to get out. So we can put this lid on them to keep the moisture in. And we can put some darkness on them so they're not photosynthesizing. And that is how I take cuttings. And some species will not produce roots, but these ones will. At least I hope they will. Hopefully this has taken some of the mystery out of complicated gardening.